Hi, I'm David Goforth with Cooperative Extension Successful Gardener. Today I'm in the Susie Harwood Gardens here at University of North Carolina, Charlotte, and with me is Paula Gross. Good morning, Paula.
Good morning.
It's turned out a little bit warm this morning, hasn't it?
It's gotten warm.
This garden here is a part of the teaching here at University of North Carolina, part of the botany department, I understand.
In a way, yes. It started out as sort of a living classroom for biology classes, field biology classes especially. And really, as the Department of Biology has evolved a little bit in a different direction, we've kind of evolved to be more of a public resource. So it is utilized in classes, but it's very much for the public to come and enjoy, and people on campus to come and enjoy and learn from.
Now, it's been fairly easy for us to park here. Tell us a little bit how that works.
Sure. Some people are worried about, coming onto campus to park, because we are on campus. We're on the east side of campus. But all you do is Monday through Friday, if you're coming for a visit between 8 and 5, you can follow the directions on our website, or if you call our number, which I can give you, you can follow those directions. It'll take you to the parking, which is across the street from the greenhouse. There's 6 or 7 spaces and they're marked for visitors, and you just go into the building and get a parking permit from Parking Services, and you just say you're visiting the garden and they'll give you a permit, and it's good for 4 hours. Of course, if you're coming on the weekend or after 5, then you don't need a permit and you can still park in that same area.
And so this is open what times?
Well, the outdoor gardens don't really have a gate, so we say they're open 7 days a week, daylight hours. We don't recommend people coming down here at night. So really any time. Now the greenhouse, which is part of the whole botanical gardens here, now that has hours Monday through Saturday 10 to 3 and Sunday 1 to 4. But if you're coming for the outdoor gardens here, the Harwood Garden, just park across the street and come on over.
Now, this garden's got a real interesting mix of plants. Sort of how did that come about?
Well, it kind of came about because this garden was never had a master plan or a design. It was actually, there's another garden here on campus that I know we may talk about later, that started out as the first part, and then this was kind of an add-on, and this is 3 acres. And so there was no master design, so the director at the time just started coming in and saying, okay, which canopy trees do I want to keep? And so there's really quite a few canopy trees in here. And then just started planting things that he liked, and they're native, or they're hardy plants. So that is, a key is that they're the kind of plants that a homeowner could come and say, this grows well in this area, but they are from all over the world. So there's no focus on native versus exotic, but a mix of both.
Yeah. One of the interesting plants I found as I come through here is this banana shrub.
Yes.
Or banana plant. What is it?
Banana shrub, yeah.
Banana shrub, yeah. I think the only one we've got in Cabarrus County is actually in Memorial Gardens, and that was sort of a protected area. This looks like it's just totally out in the open here.
It's really totally out in the open. I think in our zone, it's really fine. You wouldn't go much north of here, but it's related to magnolia actually, but it's a shrub, and it has little blooms, maybe 1.5 inches, kind of off creamy yellow color. But when it's in full bloom, you smell it before you see it. It smells like banana popsicles. It does
smell like bananas. The other plant I find really interesting here is this large leaf magnolia.
Yes, the big leaf magnolia, or Magnolia macrophylla, is rare in east of the Smoky Mountains. But in Gaston County, actually, we're a concentrated population of them, and Gaston County is kind of famous for that. And so we were, some people here at UNCC were involved in some of the surveys, surveying those plants, and they got some seeds and started some plants. So we've got 3 or 4 or 5 specimens here that are about 25 years old, and it's got the largest leaves, entire leaves, of any zone outside of the tropics. So they're really quite impressive. And then they have a magnolia bloom, just like you would see on a southern magnolia.
One of the first plants that caught my eye here was the viburnums. I reckon they're in full bloom right now.
Yeah, right now is a great time for the viburnums. You can kind of see when you look down into the garden the patches of white, and it's viburnum time.
Any of those that you prefer, or one of your favorites?
Well, I love the double file viburnum that kind of has its blooms, all along the stem in a row. And then the snowball viburnum, which is behind us, is a great one. And of course people say, why is that hydrangea blooming in April or May? And it's a viburnum, but it looks just like a giant mop head white hydrangea.
Now the hydrangeas are not in bloom today, but they look like they'll be coming on before long.
Yeah, pretty soon. I would say in late May is when they come on here. And we've started a little mini hydrangea collection here because hydrangeas have gotten really popular. I mean, they're kind of an old-fashioned plant, but there's been like a resurgence in them and some of these ever blooming ones. And so we're trying to do a little testing and see what we can
And of course,
see.
today, if you come in here, you'd be really impressed with these azaleas, the flame azaleas, I believe they're called. Is that correct?
Yes, what we've got in this garden are hybrids with the native azaleas, and the flame azalea is like the native orange azalea. And then so some of them that you'll see in this garden, which are larger, maybe a lighter color, darker color, are hybrids with some other azaleas to get a bigger bloom. But sure, the native azaleas are in their prime right now.
And that, the one you've got here is, the one that was in bloom here is called?
The flame azalea, the Austrinum, Rhododendron Austrinum.
But what about the native one over here?
The pink one, or
Yeah.
the little pink one is called a pinkster bloom azalea. And then another pink one that's in bloom right now is the Piedmont azalea. So basically 3 native azaleas right now. If it's orange, it's the flame azalea. If it's pink, it's either the pinkster bloom or the Piedmont.
Sort of on the other side, you've got sort of a Chinese style pavilion. What is that called?
Yes, we just call it the gazebo, because if you were to walk through this garden, you would start to notice a few Asian elements, and you'd think, well, this isn't really an Asian garden, but I notice a stone lantern, and I see a red gazebo and a red bridge. And that's because the director who started this garden, there's really only been 2 directors here. So in its 40-year history, or slightly less than 40 years, only been 2 people in charge, so there's been some consistency. And the first director actually was able to travel to China, and he was kind of inspired by what he saw. So he came back and he said, I want a Chinese style pavilion. And so we just call it the gazebo or the pavilion, but it's in that style.
And going through this garden, it is spring, probably the peak time is April, May for the garden, but there's a lot of interest is for winter interest, including
Yes.
the tree here that, what did you call this tree?
The Idesia tree.
Idesia.
Yeah, which starts with an I, Idesia. And that's one that's fairly rare. It's one of these trees that has male and female. But the thing is, they're hard to find, and when you get them, you don't know whether they're male or female. And of course, the female make these amazing berry clusters that hang down from this, 20, 30-foot tree. They look like clusters of Andina berries, but hanging down. But you have to wait 15 years till they bloom to know whether you have male or female. Well, we got lucky, and we have quite a few, maybe 3 females and 1 male, so that's a good ratio. So this 2 years ago was the first time we got fruit on it, and then this year too. And so it was really, really beautiful in the winter.
Keep telling my wife that 3 to 1, she doesn't like that at all.
No, yeah, I bet not. It works for plants.
Okay. If a group wanted to have a tour here, would they be able to get in touch with you?
Sure, they could. What they would do would be to contact me. My phone number is 704-687-2555. And you would just call and tell me about the size of the group you're touring. We can usually accommodate tours between about 7 and 25 people. Beyond that, it kind of gets hard for us.
Strung
But
out, yeah.
yeah, and then they're weekdays that we schedule them. So you would just call for a group tour. Of course, you're also welcome to come anytime and tour on your own, and that is free to the
Right.
public to come.
Now, you've also got a newsletter. I get a newsletter. I've been receiving it for a long time before I ever met you.
Right.
On the newsletter, so people can sign up for that.
They can sign up for that, and they would go to our website, and if you actually search Google for UNCC Gardens, it comes up right away, and you'll see on the front page there's a place where you can sign up for the newsletter. And so I send that out no more than 12 a year, maybe a couple more in the spring and less in the winter. And just says what's going on here and sometimes what's in bloom and that sort of thing.
A very delightful garden. I've enjoyed the tour
thank
here.
you.
So if you have any questions about the garden, you can call Paula. Or if you have any questions about horticulture, you can give me a call. And until next time, plant and plant for a better world.